We hear the term the cloud thrown around all the time, right? When you save a photo, stream a movie, you're told you're using it. But what does that actually mean? Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain on one of the most transformative technologies of our time, cloud computing. So, when someone says your data is in the cloud, where is it really going? Spoiler alert, it's not actually floating up in the sky. It's part of this massive global system that has completely revolutionized how we all use technology. Let's break it down. Okay, so to really get why the cloud is such a game changer, we kind of have to rewind the clock a bit. Before the cloud, if a company needed any kind of computing power, their entire world revolved around one single place, the physical server room. And man, this slide just nails the absolute headache of the old way of doing things. Companies had to shell out a ton of money for these big, expensive servers, stick them in special air-conditioned rooms, and then pay a whole team just to babysit them. And you know the worst part? A lot of that expensive hardware just sat there, doing nothing, just waiting for a random traffic spike. If you needed more power, well, you had to physically buy and install new machines. It was slow, it was expensive, and just totally inflexible. So, faced with all these problems, the tech world came up with this really elegant solution. The big idea was, instead of every single company building its own little digital factory, what if they could just rent power from one massive, shared one? And that, right there in a nutshell, is the core idea of cloud computing. I love this analogy. It's probably the best way to think about the cloud. You don't build your own power station just to turn on a lamp at home, right? Of course not. You just plug into the electrical grid. The cloud does the exact same thing, but for computing. It gives you on-demand access to processing power, to storage, to software, just like a utility. Okay, so here's the super official definition from the National Institute of Standards and Technology, or NIST. I know, it sounds like a real mouthful, but the key ideas in there are actually pretty simple. Things like on-demand, shared, and easy to manage. NIST breaks this whole thing down into a really simple framework. 5 essential characteristics, 3 service models, and 4 deployment models. Let's walk through them. All right, let's kick things off with those 5 essential characteristics. I like to call them the cloud's 5 superpowers, because honestly, they're the very things that solve all those problems of that old clunky server room we were just talking about. And here they are, the big 5. On-demand self-service, broad network access, resource pooling, rapid elasticity, and measured service. These 5 things, working together, are basically the DNA of any real cloud platform. They give it this incredible power and flexibility. So let's see how each one works. All right, let's just zip through these real quick. On-demand self-service means a developer can get a new server up and running in minutes. No phone calls, no paperwork. Broad network access is why you can get to your files on your phone, then your laptop, then your tablet seamlessly. Resource pooling is the provider's secret weapon. They have one giant pool of hardware that serves everybody super efficiently. Rapid elasticity is amazing. That's the magic that lets a tiny startup handle going viral overnight without crashing. And measured service ties it all together beautifully. You only pay for what you actually use, kind of like your electricity bill. Okay, awesome. So now we get what makes the cloud, well, the cloud. But not all cloud services are created equal. The next piece of the puzzle is understanding the 3 main service models: infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. And don't worry, this might sound complicated, but I've got the perfect analogy to make it all click. And behold, the famous pizza as a service analogy. This makes it so easy to understand. So, on premises, that's like deciding to make a pizza completely from scratch. You're doing everything. With infrastructure as a service, or IaaS, the vendor gives you the oven and the dough. You just have to bring the toppings. Then there's platform as a service, or PaaS. That's like ordering a pizza for delivery. They make the whole pizza, you just set the table and get the drinks. And finally, software as a service, SaaS, that's just going out to restaurant. You just show up and eat. The vendor handles absolutely everything else. Okay, so now let's swap out the pizza for the actual technology. It's the same idea. This slide shows the tech stack. See those green blocks? That's the stuff you have to manage. On the far left, with traditional IT, you're managing everything. That was our making pizza from scratch option. As you move to the right, the provider takes on more and more of the work, until you get all the way over to SaaS, where you basically just use the finished product. It's the exact same logic as our pizza night. So the big takeaway here is really about who uses each model. System admins love IaaS because they can build their own virtual infrastructure. Developers use PaaS to create their apps without ever having to worry about the underlying servers. And then there's us, the end users. We're living in the SaaS world every single day with stuff like Microsoft Office 365 or Dropbox. All right, we are in the home stretch. We've covered the what and the how, so the last piece of this puzzle is the where. This brings us to the 4 cloud deployment models, which basically just describe where the cloud infrastructure actually lives. Okay, so the 2 big ones you'll always hear about are public and private clouds. Think of a public cloud like Amazon Web Services as a giant public utility. It's super cost-effective, but you're sharing it with everyone, which means security is a huge consideration. A private cloud is the exact opposite. It's built from the ground up for just one organization. You get total control and tighter security, but yeah, it comes with a much bigger price tag. But it's not just an either-or choice. You've also got these in-between models. A hybrid cloud mixes public and private, letting you get the best of both worlds. It lets you do this cool thing called cloud bursting, where if your private cloud gets overwhelmed, the traffic can just overflow into the public cloud. And a community cloud is a bit more niche. It's shared by a bunch of organizations that have similar needs, like a group of hospitals that all need to follow the same privacy rules. So, at the end of the day, what is the cloud? It's not some magical, fluffy thing up in the atmosphere. It's a very real physical network of massive data centers all over the planet, a global computer that anyone can plug into. It has fundamentally changed the game for how we build businesses, share information, and connect with each other. The only real question left is, what are you going to build with it?